In this case study, we explore the question of how to integrate machine learning or AI tools in design tasks. And as a general question, we explored how might we identify opportunities for integrating machine learning into established design processes in industry. And then more specifically, how might we support designers in early prototyping stages? And this was done at an industry partner, an IT consulting and software development company. And we approached this in 4 steps. So first we immersed ourselves in the existing design practice at that industry partner, seeking an understanding of practitioners' views there, and then developed a concept and prototype, which was then tested in a user study. So the first 2 activities relate to finding the right problem to solve. And we started by observing a participatory design workshop at that company. And in that workshop, both the consultants and the clients together scribble ideas, they present ideas to each other, they iterate on those ideas, and they prioritize those. And this results in many sketches for UI designs. And while the workshop is quite well structured, a key observation for us was that the process of moving on with these many sketches produced during the workshop was a bit unclear. And we followed up on this with semi-structured interviews with 4 of these consultants, and we found different motivations for transferring these sketches to wireframes, or as well merging them into a more consolidated prototype. Overall, we identified quite a few challenges, but decided to focus on this post-workshop phase. And so the concept that we settled on was this one. So you start with a sketch on paper and you want to translate it into a digital wireframe. And so we developed a prototype to be able to demonstrate that. And for prototyping this model, we trained a UI detector with Microsoft Custom Vision, which is an API where you can upload images and label them as shown here. And we used this with a bunch of sketches that we created. And then we wrote a plugin for the popular UI design tool Sketch. And this plugin allows the designer to load an image, which is then automatically analyzed with the model and then mapped to the digital version of the digital elements available in Sketch, as you can see here. And we tested this prototype in a user study. This involved 20 people at our industry partner with backgrounds in design, development, and business. And the task simply was to translate 5 paper sketches to wireframes, both manually and with the tool. Here are the results from the user experience questionnaire, and we found that the tool was rated significantly better than the manual process on 5 of these 6 categories. The only exception being dependability here in the middle. In more detail, people commented, for instance, on the efficiency. So related to speed, this might reduce repetitive steps. For instance, you don't have to manually place the UI elements one by one in Sketch. And there were also comments on creativity. So for instance, someone mentioned that the process is not really creative because it is now automated. And in contrast, other comments, for instance, mentioned that I can spend more time on thinking about the arrangement of the elements. So in this sense, creativity could be supported by automating something. And then with regards to dependability, those can be traced back to comments on this being kind of black boxy. And for instance, someone suggested that we could better indicate which elements had been detected. And through that process, we were able to identify that we could use machine learning as a kind of glue between the different steps in the design process instead of supporting one specific activity in the workshop, for instance. And this also relates to respecting designers' knowledge and established tools. For instance, they were able to use their usual workflow in Sketch as well, so they could also manually edit the automated sketch further. And this also supports thinking by doing. So for instance, someone mentioned that they like the manual process because it helps them to think about the design, and that, of course, in this approach is still possible. And finally, we found that we can foster design consistency with machine learning here, in the sense that this machine learning approach would always select the same digital button type if it detects a certain button type in the sketch.